I'll take anything other than a metal tree. I've got piles starting to stack up. And then I've got even a pile over there, and there's gonna be a bunch more dumped up in here. Now, of course, that's gonna be a building pad. So I need to get busy making room by cutting up some of the logs that I have that are in the way. The Echo 7310, my Echo CS620P, and the 4910. All of these have performance modifications done to them. The 4910 was done by 307 Performance or Caleb Cornelison. He can be found on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. My Echo CS620P, it's been a while since I've really done anything work-wise with it. This is done by Super Dave Outdoors, or his channel is actually now called Grass Stains and Learning Pains. I think that's the coolest name possible. He's an extremely competent echo technician, and I can't wait to see what he has going on. He's had some major changes in his life, and I'm excited for you, buddy. I really like how this one operates here too. This is the 7310, ported by Iowa Performance Saws. It's been a while since it's had any attention because I've been playing around with these high-tech computerized saws. The chain on this 7310 was done with the new Husqvarna 2-in-1 that is really pretty sparse or not even available in the United States. They are available in Europe, I believe. I had a video post this morning about it where I filed a C83 after intentionally dulling it. And then I started on this Oregon chain. Well, now I'm gonna see how it cuts. I think we'll blast through this small pile here pretty darn quickly. I can no longer drive through there because of what we did to the driveway. So I really need to be able to come up through this section right here. And these are in the way. And as I mentioned, there's a pile of logs over there, and we're getting at least 3 more deliveries, it sounds like. Those are gonna be placed in the middle of the pad. Without having to go physically harvest the wood and put it on our non-dump trailer, this is going to be a major help. That's a pretty strong little saw. Let's go to the 620 now. That's some very dirty wood, everyone. That's gonna change how I cut it. I was originally gonna go ahead and come under here and buck up, but if I do that, I'm pushing the grit into the cut the whole way. Rather, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to come up top and pull the grit out that way. Well, I suppose I don't have to, but it just makes good sense. I like that gramp stick, Willie. Russ Willie, I should say. Willie's Firewood. I say we get the 7310 going. This saw does have the best chain out of the group, but boy is this thing smooth. I said it was the best chain, but it does have a little bit of chatter in it. It's going to be interesting going from that 70 plus cc saw down to a super lightweight 50 cc. Wow, Caleb. Got to keep in mind, guys, that is a very lightweight saw, way lighter than a 261, I believe, and a 550 XP, and it has more power than my 562. chain can handle a little bit of dirt for a little while, but it cannot handle a rock. Man, what do you guys think? Did this saw do well? I was enjoying using it. I don't know what the status of this chain was. It looked and felt pretty decent, but I knew I was getting into some dirty wood. But at this point, it has officially reached the point where you just can't run it anymore. We have about that much more of the tank, probably like 1/8 of it or so. Great work, Caleb. That chain is much smoother, but I'm not real happy with the profile that I ground on that. That also did have a little bit of time on it, but again, the rakers are much smoother on that one. Second chain down. It's just bad enough on a ported saw. I don't want to deal with it. What I mean by that is I'm not gonna continue. Plus it's no fun, right? But I will say this, if my 590 was out here, the stock one, well, I have a whole nother video that I'm gonna be shooting about that, because the other day while I was doing all my stumps, it really proved its worth. But needless to say, with this being a performance modified saw, that is no good. I only have one chain left, and that's going to be on the 7310. I don't think I'll make it through this whole entire pile. The main thing I wanted to do is clear this path right here, so I'm going to focus on this side. I got less than half a tank on this, which is a shame. This is the smoother saw anyway. Well, I guess not with the chattering chain it isn't, but it's definitely going to cut better. My wife just got home and she just decided to take an alternate route. See if she goes and parks where her car will eventually be. I think so. Boy, we need some rain. She'll be coming this next week though. So she just got back from like a 4-hour trip. I just had to get some of those rounds out of the way. If you have a hard time getting affordable bar and chain oil, make sure you check out sawsalvage.com using my discount code OAKIE10, OAKIE10 for the Dukes branded products. They are a very good value. Tacky stuff, it's doing what it's supposed to do. You know, I don't have a long-term review of it, but you know, Project Farm once found that the cheapest stuff available at like Rural King, or I forget what it was, but it's what I can get at like Atwood's. I was buying it for like $7 a gallon, was better than everything else when he did his tests, his lubricity and tackiness tests and all that. So anyway, again, if you're in an area where all you can get is $20 bar oil, make sure you check this out. It's not worth buying one. I'd buy multiples of items because it is not free shipping. But again, utilize that OAKIE10. I believe that's a one-time use code as well. And if you're new here, we also have some of the best outdoor power equipment discounts out there at sawsuppliers.com. Same discount code. That can be used multiple times, and it is only good for outdoor power equipment. But while you're at it, they have phenomenal deals on like Oregon bars, Oregon chain. They have Sugihara bars, all kinds of cool stuff. They really work in quantity discounts, and they have free shipping across the United States. my gosh, this thing's awesome. So the Husqvarna 2-in-1 is really nice. The chain is cutting really beautifully, but it's not a real good smooth borer. Now, you know, I mean, it's kicking a little bit. It is hardwood. That bar is a little bit more flexible than probably what you'd prefer, but I like having the lighter bar. Now, remember, I do actually have a broken bar nut on this. Actually, this one's feeling kind of weird too. Let's see what happens. I need to replace this captive nut. The cool thing is it still works, but that's the only captive nut I've ever had fail on a saw. Now, granted, I don't have cords and cords and cords and cords every year on a saw. The chain has a little bit of a burr on it. I know you can take a file to it, but guys, some of you may cringe. These are not high dollar bars. I'm not too worried about it. That saw is just about out of fuel. So we ran out the 4910, 7310. We finished up the pile. I didn't think I was gonna be able to make it through without killing all 3 chains. Man, it's just so nice. I love wood chips. It's kind of cool to cut them everywhere you had fresh excavation. That way you could kind of start covering up the mud. Or I'm sorry, not the mud. It's like powdered sugar around here. This is what I have left here to move over to the splitter. I could, of course, move the splitter over here. However, my wood pile is over there with all the splits in it. I want to know down in the comment section, which saw do you like the best? I'm not saying which one's the best. Which one do you like the best? I know which one I like the best. And it's no reflection on the builders because they're all different platforms. Really all meant to be different things, right? The 620 is a hot rodded Timberwolf. And it does really well. Biggest bang for the buck in terms of a very capable saw. 4910 was like a homeowner 50cc saw that I've described as, let's just say, rubbish when it was new. Now, of course, wasn't broken in, wasn't tuned real super well, but it wasn't going to turn into what it is now and what Caleb Cornelison has turned it into. Then that 7310, that was another saw that was okay, new. It was not insanely powerful. Certainly get the job done. That one also could hardly be described as broken in. Machinery Nation did a video kind of where they were showing a new 7310 or a SX version over there, but it's the same thing. And an old one that claimed a significant amount of hours on it. I don't know how they know how many hours were on it because there's no computer system to tell you how many hours are on it, like on the Husky and the Stihl electronic saws. I really think that's pretty cool to be able to do that. As you can tell, everything over here that looks fresh is added. There's a nice little load of wood there. We cut up almost, I don't know, probably 2/3 of the wood that we were able to harvest off the top there. As the dozer was running, I was just focused on getting the good straight logs that I could stack up nicely, or else I would have had a huge, essentially brush pile to take care of, and that's never fun. And listen, I like limb wood if I'm going to harvest a tree off of my property for firewood, but I don't do that anymore. I've really never cut a tree for firewood. I cut it because it was dead or because we wanted it removed and then used it for firewood. But I never just said, oh, I need to heat the house. Let's cut this tree. Not when it's in my front yard. This tree is going to be coming out. That tree right there is going to be coming out. That corner tree is going to be coming out. And then there's another one over there that's going to be coming out. That's just to give more room to move around. Everything's just too tight. I don't want to, however, make my property all slicked off like it is up there. That would be really nice to have a wood yard that large, but I'm not interested in that. Plus, there's no shade, right? Like, I want to be in the shade. Tell me your thoughts down below. It was a lot of fun getting these Echoes out and running, putting a little bit of fuel through them. A lot of people ask, like, hey, why do you cut cookies instead of buck firewood? Well, if I want to just come run a saw or test something out, as you can see, less than 3 tanks of fuel, and I bucked a whole bunch of oak. This is all oak. And there was nothing other than oak in here. And, you know, we just came from the other pile. It's a decent amount of wood. I don't know what's in here. For you firewood guys, I would love to know what your thoughts were, an approximation of how many cord or how many rick or third of a cords this is. You know, I don't have a clue, honestly, if it's just a cord total. It could be just a single cord. I don't know. But is it more than that? Let's real quickly look at this other pile of wood. I want to ask your guys' opinion. What do you guys think a load like this is worth? I'd like for you to share down below. Now, this is not a tree service, so this is someone that they're doing me a favor. They're getting me some material making it worth it for them and myself, right? So I've mentioned before that common local practice is to literally push it all up into a pile and burn it. This particular contractor or excavator does not want to do that, but at the same time, he's not going to just haul wood for free. And I'm also not willing to pay a ton of money for it because there's other wood available. Now this right here, this stack was one dump. He said he's got maybe 3 or 4 more. I've got pine, I've got oak. Basically is real close by to here, so it's going to be real similar wood. I think that might be some elm or something, but it's not all elm, which is great. What do you guys think a pile like this is worth to you? If you didn't, you know, if normally you had to go harvest it yourself. Let me set the camera up. Yeah, I think that might be elm right there. But that's okay. Our split fire does really good with it. If before you had to go and haul it all and you didn't have like equipment to put it into a dump trailer and you were bucking it all up and putting it by hand in a trailer, how much would this be worth to you to have it delivered to your place? And possibly to be able to get as much as you could want and maybe have to say no sometimes. Because again, I am buying it. I'm not getting it for free. Really curious. I told him I'll take anything. I really want anything other than trees with metal in them. I'll take anything other than a metal tree. I love pine, actually. I would love to have pine. You know, of course, again, firewood is not super high value out here in Oklahoma. We burned maybe 2/3 of a cord this year. It was a pretty mild, you know, we had a little bit of cold here and there, but we didn't have a significant amount of cold. Oh my gosh. If you haven't seen this build, guys, or all of this, ran the 564 XP out here when Bucky from the Long Way YouTube channel cleared all the trees, and then I had a local contractor come and doze this. This was all like that before. 60 by 40 shop going in here. I've called the contractor that I believe I'm going to be working with for the building. I've driven some stakes, but we're going to make some movement. It was just to get an idea of how it might sit. You know, it's really hard to tell because this is a 50 foot by 60 foot footprint on here, and it all fits within grade, which is awesome. It'll be really nice, guys. I appreciate everyone that kind of gets what we're doing. I never try to appear as something that I'm not. You know, that's why I show mistakes. That's why I show, you know, when I have to eat my words and say, I was wrong about this. Oh, I do want to talk about that. 50 cc's, and this wood pile is really pleasant. I did contemplate throwing another chain on there, but, you know, I just don't want to stack up that many chains to have to fix. You know, especially when it's dirty, it's going to get a little bit more tedious. I'm trying to get to the point, honestly, I want my ground chains to work as well as that one did. That Husqvarna 2-in-1, any chatter that you see here was likely caused by me, okay? Some of these teeth were a little bit more hurt. Some of them I just kind of stunk at the process, and so I had to fix the angle. When I'm filming sharpening, I have to be able to hold the camera or position the camera in a way, and it does make me look fairly incompetent. Now, off of camera, what I did is I turned this chain around and filed with my other hand. So the other side cutters were much easier and more consistent for me. Now, is I also try to force myself to do it the uncomfortable way. I don't know what it is, but man, I still just feel like my left hand is like practically useless. Yeah, it's just one of those things, man. I want to get better at it. I want to get better at filing, but the problem is I've been grinding for a while now, so I feel rusty again, and it's like, it kind of stinks. But that 2-in-1 did fantastic, I think. Now, I would say that the rakers are a little on the hungry side, but I'm going to say that there's a little bit of a difference versus the 2-in-1, the Stihl, I should say. Again, the tooth has a much nicer profile. I mean, that's actually pretty. This camera's not going to focus. I'm using an action camera, but it's got a nice C. This would be really, really nice in pine. It would, or like softer wood, softer hardwoods. It's funny, this chain had quite a bit of chatter when I first started, and then the chatter really kind of went away. It's interesting how that did that. I don't know why. I truly don't know why. How can a chain go from worse to better with usage? Maybe there was just like one tooth that was like a little bit off, and maybe I knocked it off or something. Like, I don't know. I would love to hear your thoughts on that as well. That's a lovely tool to use, especially when the chain is smooth. Enough power to pull a hungry chain like that, and I know a lot of people really like that feeling. I like to be able to have options with boring and so forth, so while this is a really nice bucking chain and a firewood chain in a pile, I like to be able to bore to have options, like I said, because sometimes, you know, to get around dirt, or, you know, maybe there's a log or something right up top of it. So that's the one negative. But if you're just, man, if I was holding up these logs with the excavator or something, or the mini, I'm sorry, not the mini, I don't have a mini, my tractor, my grapple, my backhoe or something, this would have ripped through there. My back is a little sore. I have not cut that much wood straight using the gramp stick. That man from Russ's channel, Willie's Firewood, got this from him. Really cool. It says gramp stick on there. A little bit every day goes a long way. I'm needing to do that because, well, I've got more going on, different things, right? The channel's developing and our family's developing. And so we have, you know, I need to come out and tackle a little bit. Now, this was more than a little bit because for me, I don't generally come and cut this much firewood at once. And the reason why is all this here now has to be split. I'm not necessarily looking to make a ton of firewood. I actually am going to be pursuing some different sales avenues that I think I'm going to be successful with, because again, we can get the wood for really, really affordable, I think. Again, share what your thoughts are on that wood pile, how much that wood pile is worth delivered to you. Again, we're in Oklahoma. Our birding season is much shorter than you all's up north if you're watching from up north. As I look around, this wood was really tight grain. It had, you know, a lot of years. It was a very dense woods that all the trees had to compete forever. And so these things, I mean, to grow an inch in radius, it might have been 15, 20 years. I mean, it takes a long time. It's a shame. It's a shame for us to remove these trees. It really is. But man, it's also really exciting to see what we're going to be able to do with the property. The skills that we're going to gain together as a family. And hopefully you as a viewer also will come along and gain some skills and knowledge with us, or help us as we, no doubt, struggle through a few things, right? That's likely to happen. Thank you for watching the Okie Woodsman channel, and we will see you on the next one. It's thinking awesome. You always wanted me to get more wood. You know what? With that log hitting the ground, it's probably going to help wedge those out. Nope, that's how you got to do it. There's another load of logs. Again, guys, let me know how much you think those are worth.